What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Tom's Take. My name is Tom and thank you very much for joining me for this, my top 10 best films of 2017. A couple of disclaimers. First of all, my list is of course going to be different to your list. It's going to be different to everyone else's list. So let me know in the comment section below what your top 10 favorite movies of 2017 are. And also, I haven't had a chance to see every movie that's come out this year because that's just almost impossible. So if it's not on this list, I either haven't seen it or I didn't feel it deserved to be on the list. But nonetheless, here we go, my top 10 favorite films of 2017. At number 10, we have Logan, the movie, the Wolverine movie that we all wanted and never thought we were gonna get, but Deadpool proved that an R-rated superhero movie can indeed work and make a little bit of money on the side as well. Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart, to me, give the performances of their entire career, let alone the best performances they've ever given as these characters. This movie subverted the comic book genre. It surprised us, it had great emotion, it almost doesn't feel like a superhero movie. Take away the claws, it's almost just a big dramatic piece about family and friendship, and I love Logan so much. Oh, hi, number 9. At number 9 is The Disaster Artist. James Franco crushes it as Tommy Wiseau, the man behind the best movie ever made, worst movie ever made, whatever you want to call it, The Room. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it tells a really good, true story. What very easily could have become a silly spoof comedy making fun of Wiseau and The Room, it handles it with, and it treats it with so much respect. It understands what The Room is and tells that story in a heartfelt yet really, really funny way. I am incarcerated. That's my horrible Daniel Craig impersonation from the film Logan Lucky. Logan Lucky is number 8 on this list. What a pleasant surprise. I went to see Logan Lucky, I thought the trailers looked interesting, and wow, Daniel Craig stole the show as Joe Bang, an explosive expert. What an appropriate name for an explosives expert. Adam Driver and Channing Tatum both crush it as well in this movie. This movie's fun, it's action-packed. The one big complaint I have about this film is that Seth MacFarlane really just distracted me in the movie with his over-the-top performance, and he just doesn't work well in this movie, but otherwise I absolutely adore this movie. It's one of my favorites. At number 7, we have Blade Runner 2049, a movie that stars Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling and somehow still flopped at the box office, whether it was the long running time or the fact that it was a sequel to a movie that came out 30 years ago that barely anybody's ever seen. I think Blade Runner 2049 is better than the original Blade Runner. How many sequels come out that you can say that about? Not many, I assure you. I love Blade Runner 2049. I appreciate so much that it took its time to tell its story in a 2-hour and 40-minute movie. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's dramatic. It's one of the most beautiful looking movies I've ever seen, and the sound design is incredible. Next up on my list, we have Wonder, starring Jacob Tremblay, Owen Wilson, and Julia Roberts. Jacob Tremblay is going to have Oscars on his mantle by the time his career is all said and done. What an amazing movie this was. This movie, I feel like, will make you laugh and cry and give you all the feels that you want going to see a movie like this. You don't walk out feeling depressed, you actually walk out feeling quite uplifted and quite empowered by this film. Okay, we move on to number 5. Number 5 is Wonder Woman, the film that made men and anti-feminists cry in the corner while masturbating. I absolutely adore Wonder Woman. I think what this movie did, it's culturally significant. It's one of the best, it is the best female-led superhero movie we've ever gotten and probably will ever get until maybe the MCU comes out with Captain Marvel. Gal Gadot proved she could act. Patty Jenkins gave us the best DCEU movie by a mile. Give her the DCEU as far as I'm concerned. Let her take over this entire cinematic universe. While this movie does sort of suffer in the third act a little bit, it's a little bit cheesy, a little bit overblown, overall the movie's heartfelt, emotional, funny, action-packed, and just a great time at the movies. I love Wonder Woman so much. It's definitely one of my favorite superhero movies of the year and absolutely deserves to be on this list. Number 4 is Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok, wow, what a fun, hilarious ride. It's the funniest MCU movie in my opinion, and it also has some of the biggest, maybe the biggest stakes until we get to Infinity War. It has the biggest stakes the MCU has ever seen up until this point. Also, Korg is love, Korg is life. At number 3, probably the most divisive Star Wars movie that's ever come out, perhaps since The Phantom Menace. I loved Star Wars The Last Jedi. I do have my issues with it. I didn't like Benicio del Toro's character. I didn't like the whole Casino Canto Bite stuff. I have a couple of issues with some of the deliveries of certain lines, but otherwise The Last Jedi gave me Star Wars feels. Mark Hamill gives the best Luke Skywalker performance he's ever given in his life. I just appreciate so much. Even if some of these things didn't work for me, I just appreciated that this Star Wars movie, Rian Johnson chose to be different, to be daring, to boldly go where no Star Wars has ever gone before. I appreciate how many risks this movie took in the Star Wars universe, because if you don't take risks, if you don't try different things, Star Wars can never evolve. I wish I could speak in all Spanish for my number 2, but unfortunately I can't. Coco is absolutely deserving of the number 2 spot for me this year. Wow. So as someone who was disappointed with Inside Out, to say the least, I didn't like Inside Out at all. And I haven't actually been a fan of a couple of Pixar's most recent films, and so walking into Coco, I wasn't sure whether I was going to like it or hate it. And I love this movie. It's vibrant, it's colorful, it's heartfelt, it has great messages, and some of the best songs in a Pixar movie that's ever come out. The songs just stick with you, and this movie just stuck with me. It just makes you feel good, and it's some of the best animation Pixar has ever given us. And also, you know, fuck Olaf's Frozen Adventure. Okay, we move on to my number 1. We've reached number 1 now on my list, and undoubtedly you're saying, what could possibly top Star Wars for you? What could possibly be number 1? We don't know. Well, I'm about to tell you. Number 1 is Wind River. Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen give the performances of their career. I would actually say Elizabeth Olsen stole this movie for me. She absolutely did. She's incredible as this FBI agent, Jane Banner, paired with Jeremy Renner's character, Corey. It's a murder mystery. It's thrilling. It's exciting. It's beautifully written, and it's beautifully directed by the genius and the master that is Taylor Sheridan. When you look up how much of this movie is actually inspired by things that actually happened at this Wind River Indian reservation, it's an incredibly touching story with an ending that was just so morally and emotionally satisfying to me, and it knocked me off the ground. This movie absolutely shook me to my core. I love this movie so much. I've seen it so many times since it's come out, and it absolutely deserves to be number 1 on my list. So guys, that is my top 10 favorite or best movies of 2017. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment below. Let me know what your top 10 favorite movies of the year are. Let's have a discussion in the comment section below. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for watching my channel this year, and I will talk to you guys next time.